Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
The things I want to talk to you about, I want to talk to you a little bit about race, your music some too. I thought the song Talking to OJ was particularly powerful. I took the message as you can be rich, you can be poor, you're still black. Who were you speaking to? Who did you want to listen to that and be moved by it?
It's a nuanced song, you know. It's like I'm specifically speaking to us and about who we are and how do you maintain the sense of self while pushing it forward and holding us to have a responsibility for our action.
You guys to like have an album to come out that would be about
some frivolous anything.
Yes.
Yeah. It actually started out, we were working on material together, and it became Lemonade.
Yeah.
You know, she went off and did her thing, and it was like, it just felt like she should go first, and she should share her truths with the world. So it wasn't based on I have to say something because of this album. It wasn't even like that. It's just really honest.
But you probably couldn't have gotten away with, okay, you do the album Wife that talks about our pain. I'm going to go do an album that talks about, you know, my love of art.
You never know.
Right.
I think it turned out for the best. I think, but you just never know because people like to be entertained. Again, back to our president. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think, man, after the composed manner at which Obama stood at that podium, the dignity he brought to that place, that this couldn't exist, but it does.
Do you have any disappointments in Obama? There are people who say the expectations of him as the first black president were so great. He was supposed to get rid of racism and fix everything.
Yeah.
Is that unfair? Do you think, did he live up to all of your expectations?
Yes, because all he could do is the best he can do. He's not a superhero. And it's unfair to place unfulfillable expectations on this man just because of his color. You're actually doing the opposite. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? He's there for 8 years. And he has to undo what 43 presidents have done in 8 years. It's not fair.
What do you think of the state of, I'm not going to say just black leadership period, on the things you care about in the country? Who do you look at and say, this man or woman speaks for the things I care about?
It's going to be funny, but I find it funny. But my leadership, I like Dave Chappelle's.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
You're going to vote for Dave Chappelle for president?
Yeah, because he tells it in humor so you can deal with it, but it's always a nice chunk of truth in there.
Is there a part of you, because you have a certain amount of money, that gets a little more conservative, or does having money not change your politics?
Yeah, no, no, because I believe in people. You know, I want what's best for people. I love people. You know, so I don't have that sort of thing like I want to vote Republican just to save more money. That's not the end game. It's not about who got more money and who got more houses. Yes, you know, you've earned it. Buy what you want. You know, but don't forget what's important. Without people, and being rich would be very boring. No one to share with, no one to have. You know what I mean? Like you just be a rich person, one person on the planet. Just well, then what do you do?
When I heard this latest album, and then I thought about the earlier albums, one theme was sort of reaching the promised land. You know, you've acquired influence, and not just money, but your life is good. And then when you listen to the newest album, you're thinking, he must have been in a lot of pain when life was good.
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Yeah, I did listen to a song called Song Cry. And the idea of the hook, never seen it coming down my eyes, but I got to make the song cry. It tells you right there what I was hiding. And the strongest thing a man can do is cry. To expose your feelings, to be vulnerable in front of the world. That's real strength. You know, you feel like you got to be this guarded person. That's not real. It's fake.
So does that mean you were unhappy during that period and didn't have a handle on it, or what?
Well, you compartmentalize, right? So you can be inside your body and be happy, but at the core of it, something else is going on.
Right. As a, parent, I thought one of the most painful scene or line or whatever in the album was when you are talking about having almost lost your marriage, and you talk about what it would have been like to watch another man play football with your kid. I thought that is like, given that you have talked so much about your life and your music, are there things that you put a wall around? I'm not going to talk about that. You've talked about the pain of growing up where you grew up, how you grew up, your father leaving early, the pain of your marriage, being in therapy. Are there things you say, I'm not going there?
Yeah, and it mostly involves other people, because when other people are involved, you have to also, you may be ready to expose these things. And there's certain parts of, it's also other people's truth as well. A perfect example is my mom.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about when did you...
I didn't have permission to do that song first. So just like we had a beautiful conversation. When
did you realize your mother was gay?
Really early on. When
as a little kid?
Not. Let's say call it teenage years.
And so you realized it and talked to her about it? What was that?
We never spoke about it. It just exists. It was there. Everyone knew.
Gotcha.
But we never spoke about it until, recently. Now we start having these beautiful conversations and just really getting to know each other. We were always good friends, but now we're really great friends, And we were just talking as friends, and then she was sharing that she was in love. And I guess there's years of feeling for her and feeling like she's free. She can be herself. She doesn't have to hide for her kids or be feeling she's embarrassing her kids. It's a much different time then. Don't just think about...
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Yes. She can just live her full life, her whole life, and be her.
Will this get harder over time? As a young man, your music was the way a lot of young rappers are. It's the violent life. If that's chapter 1 of the autobiography, chapter 2 of the autobiography, I'm oversimplifying this, is now I'm really rich, I have a lot of stuff, let me tell you how cool that is. And then chapter 3 of the autobiography is, oh my God, I'm run myself into the ground. What's chapter 4?
3 is, oh my goodness, the most beautiful things are not these objects. The most beautiful things are inside. The most beautiful things are the friendships I have really golden friendships that, most people don't have. You can have all the watches and paintings in the world. You don't have a friend friends like I have. The friendships I've acquired and the compassion and the person I've become. That's what this chapter is. And the conversations with my mom. Those are the real enriching experiences.
Will you have the same adventures in your life? Will you have the same stuff to write about? Or maybe you don't know.
I think that rap in particular is a young man's sport, that I'll move out of that white hot space. But rap is about the gift of discovery. To be the cool person in school, you have to know the newest music, the newest dance move, have the newest clothing on. So rap is based on that. What's new? What do you? I know you know Jay-Z is good, but do you know this song right here that only 4 people heard it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then they bring that person into the masses of pop culture, and then you have a window before saying that you are the one is no longer cool. And then you have to move past that, and you have to find a way to exist. The white hot space is when it's fresh and new, and it's this is the hottest song ever.
Right.
I mean, I pushed the window
You think you're still in that space?
Oh, I stood in that window a really long time.
Are you still in there?
But still, no. I don't think people are looking to me as the thing.
Is that hard to deal with, or did you feel like I'm okay with that because I've moved on?
No.
You don't want to be.
Because at the end of the day, we're going to find out it's not about the white hot space, but it's about finding the truth. That white hot space, people think is the biggest thing, but it's really small. It's almost like a trend. Will you rather be a trend or you rather be Ralph Lauren?
Right.
You know what I mean? You rather be a trend or you rather be forever. I'm the person that looked at the Mona Lisa and be like, man, that's going to be cool in 40 years.
Right.
Right? I play forever.
Right.
I play forever. And so my whole thing is to identify with the truth, not to be the youngest, hottest, new, trendy thing.
One of the things you rap about also is the pain you caused to the people you sold drugs to. Have you ever had conversations with people like that you caused pain to as a young man and talked about it?
No, I haven't. No.
What would you say to them? Or is that impossible to do at this point?
Well, nothing's impossible, right? So no, I don't think it's impossible. I guess that conversation would definitely take ownership for my part in the part I played in occupying that space. Because knowing what I know now, you can't sacrifice others for your life. There's a karmic debt that has to be paid. Had I had the level of consciousness then that I have now, things would have turned out differently. And just knowing that, I definitely want everyone to know that.
Do black artists have a different obligation than white artists? Do you feel you have a different kind of obligation to the people who listen to you than if you were a white musician?
Yeah, because I have an obligation, going back to the story of OJ, is to further conversation of an entire race of people. Not me, all of us. But specifically me, since you're asking the question, is to open up dialogue. It's okay to think. It's okay to be smart. There's a time where people was like, you talking white. It's like, what does that even mean? And I know words. Intelligence is not a tribute to color. And I'm sure you've heard it growing up many times. You're speaking white. Like, what?
Yeah.
Speaking like I know words. And it's okay. It's fine. So I have an obligation to further the conversation in all ways. Our stature in America, our emotional maturity, and so on and so forth. It's humbling at the same time. It's like, it's what you've been charged with in life.
Right.
And I believe since the beginning of time, the poets have been charged with that. Like, it was the poets that's explaining the emotions and making these songs that people are like, oh, that's what I feel.
Right. Are there black artists, and I won't ask you to name them unless you want to, who you think don't live up to that obligation to start a conversation about race? Do you think there are people you wish did more?
And for one, OJ, right? Because that's the one that we can all identify. But yes, there are those who don't uphold their mantle, and we know how that story plays out.
Would you, if you could talk to O.J. Simpson, what would you say to him if you could talk to him?
I don't know. I would probably say, man, I'm sorry that so much happened to you, man. People act out in this way based on their life experiences. And I'm sure he's been through a lot of trauma in his life. And, I think that'll start the conversation. Like,
did you watch the documentary about him?
I watched every one.
You did? Yeah, no, I did too.
Yeah, it's like 8 of them on at the same time.
You could read the story of O.J. two ways. You could say somebody should have reminded O.J. he was black. I could read that as a negative message or a positive message. The positive message being you're black and you should be more proud of it. The negative message is, who are you kidding? You can't escape this by joining a private country club and playing golf.
Right.
Which message feels the right one?
They're both dual messages at the same time. It's like, be proud of who you are and realize that we're going to get further together.
Right.
Don't check out. You can't just, turn your back on the place you come from. You come from a community. Your job is to uplift it now. Or we know how it turns out.
Right.
Once you stop being Tiger Woods and you going on...
What would you say to Tiger Woods? Do you know Tiger Woods?
No, I'm not.
How would you classify Tiger Woods in that discussion?
Same sort of thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, when Tiger was afforded the privilege of, he playing golf, you were protected. But the minute that you're not providing for the thing, it's like now your license is on TV and it's like you're black.
So now I've got to ask my one gossipy question. Talk about Kanye West and your relationship with him, which you allude to a little bit in the album. When's the last time you talked to him?
I hate Kanye the other day, just tell him that he's my brother. I love Kanye. I do. It's a complicated relationship with us.
Why is it complicated?
Because, Kanye came into this business on my label. So I've always been like his big brother. And we're both entertainers. So always been like a little underlying competition there with your big brother there. And we both love and respect each other's art too. So it's like everyone wants to be the greatest in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there's like a lot of other factors that play in it. But we're gonna always be good. You know, even
But
if we
there's tension now, right? Is there tension still?
Yeah. But that happens. In a long relationship, you know, hopefully when we're 89, we look at this 6 months or whatever time and we laugh at that. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be complications in the relationship that we have to get through. And the only way to get through that is we sit down and have a dialogue and say, these are the things that I'm uncomfortable with. These are the things that are unacceptable to me. This is what I feel. I'm sure he feels that I've done things to him as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a perfect human being by no stretch, you know.
Is he as evolved as you? You sound like a...
He's highly evolved. No, I think he started out in a more compassionate position than me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's had the level of... I mean, I had to survive by my instincts. I'm here because I grew up a different way. And I got out of that.
Right.
My first album came out when I was 26, so I was already a different artist.
Right.
You know, a lot of people, our album come out, they're 17, 18, so their subject matter is that of a 17 or 18-year-old, unless you're Nas and you like well-read and like I think his mom was a teacher or something, like he was way more advanced for the album that he wrote. So I just grew up a different way. But he's a very compassionate person. And a lot of times you get in trouble trying to help others, you know. So I can identify with it. It's just that there's certain things that happen that it's not really acceptable to me. And we just need to speak about it. And it's just like, however the relationship evolves, but there's genuine love there.
I'm trying to picture the scene when you and your wife both talked about making these very confessional, open albums. Was it difficult to say, I'm going to talk about the problems in our marriage. I'm going to talk about how we almost lost things. And for her to say, I'm going to talk about my pain and anger at you. What were those conversations like?
Again, it didn't happen in that way. It happened, we were using our art almost like a therapy session. And we started making music together. And then the music she was making at that time was further along. So her album came out as opposed to the joint album that we were working on. We still have a lot of that music. And this is what it became. There was never a point where it was like, I'm making this album. I was there.
Right.
I was right there the entire time.
And what was her reaction to your work and what was your reaction to hers? They must have caused
I think they were
pain
both,
for each of you, right?
Of course. And both very, very uncomfortable, but sitting in that, the best place in the, hurricane is like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the eye of that hurricane. Maybe not use hurricane because so many people are being affected right now, but the best place is right in the middle of the pain.
Right.
And that's where we were sitting, and it was uncomfortable. And we had a lot of conversations, and really proud of the music she made, and she was really proud of the art I released. And, at the end of the day, we really have a healthy respect for one another's craft. I think she's amazing. Right. Most people walk away and like divorce rate is like 50% or something because most people can't see themselves. The hardest thing is seeing pain on someone's face that you caused and then have to deal with yourself.
Yeah.
So most people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to look inside yourself. And so you walk away.